Down south in North Carolina, Chadson keeps a sharp eye on the spy, much to Spot's annoyance. Chadson tries to warn the yard goat about the spy. The yard goat doesn't seem interested. One of the diesels, awoken by Ferry Battle's mishap, moves the gun into the yard so he can get some sleep. This diverts Chadson's attention. Meanwhile, in Clinch Cross, Sheriff Panko is having a little trouble with his arrestee. The Ivatt Mogul arrives to find a blocked-up bridge. Dippity tells the Ivatt to detour down the Clinchfield line. The J-50, having finally lost the German fire marshal, sits down in the diesel yard just to be sure he's alone. Mallard and Gadwall stumble back into Spencer, but seem to have left their running companion behind. There she is. The A4s wonder when the station platform moved. The executives have noted no difference in ride quality. Everyone aboard both trains is motion sick. The Canadian Pacific D10 steam engine, now with his full identity, rolls into Spencer Yard with a freight train. The D10 stops just a hair too soon. Another Canadian Pacific locomotive, an H-1A class Hudson, rolls into town. The J-50 wonders out loud why they let a giant Oreo donut pull a passenger train, then takes cover. The tracks through the station are all blocked up by the APTE and A4s, so the Oreo donut takes a shortcut through the yard. The D10 apologizes for that behavior. Most Canadians are quite polite, but a small handful seem to take more after Canadian geese. The yard goat goes to get the crane. The Ginty has found Ferry Battle's tender and is returning it to the shops. Now to find the rest of Ferry Battle. The Ivatt Mogul carries on down the path she was told to detour on. She passes through an area she is not familiar with at all. The yard goat arrives at the siding where the crane is kept. Well, that's different. The crane's siding is being rebuilt into a trailer ramp for flat cars. This leaves one question. Where's the crane? The J-50 emerges from his hole. Herr Brandmeister would like a word. Back at the roundhouse, the two drunken A4s tried to get to the turntable, but missed and ended up in the ash loading track. The roundhouse foreman is happy to let them sleep it off in there. The yard goat comes to the engine facility to ask if anyone knows where the crane is, but instead finds the crane. No problem. The yard goat just needs to bring the crane out onto the turntable and spin it free. Okay. Problem. Flying Scotsman senses that this will take a while and asks to exit the roundhouse before things get more involved. The L1 gets ready for quite a show. The Ivatt passes one of Amtrak's newest and is still trying to figure out how she's supposed to detour to Old Fort from here. The Plymouth comes to the engine facility to see what's going on. The yard goat tries to take just the crane itself. So close. Maybe if the yard goat can get in next to the crane, she can push it out with a pole. She tries to clear out the snowplows next to the crane. Well, that didn't work. The yard goat sees the only option left being to see if she can push the big rotary snowplow out with a pole, get it clear, then pole the crane out. This is going to take a few tries. The distant honking denotes that the sheriff is near. The yard goat freezes as she remembers polling rail cars like this was outlawed years ago. The sheriff passes by, but sees Scotsman has the liquor tank. The sheriff investigates, but finds the tank is empty again. The sheriff heads off to put the truck in jail. One more pole push and the rotary is on the turntable. The rotary is not self-propelled. Now what? The yard goat is questioning some life choices right now. As a local engine tries to reunite Amtrak's newest with a chunk of train he left behind, the Ivatt carries on. The Ivatt Mogul is starting to suspect that she isn't in North Carolina anymore. Back in Salisbury, Chadson believes he has a lead on someone in the country illegally. Chadson stops the D10 and demands to know why he's in the country without proper papers. The D10 is confused and shows Chadson his passport. Chadson doesn't seem to buy it and demands to know why there are so many Canadian steam locomotives in American railroad museums. The D10 does not know what this trolley is on about. Chadson goes on about how Canadian steam engines are trying to take over, about how Canada hogs their side of Niagara Falls, how beavers were an invention of the Shawnee tribe, how real maple syrup comes from Vermont, how hockey is nothing but angry men on knife shoes fighting over an Oreo, and... Chadson senses that there is something big behind him. After some creative uses of chains and the pole, the yard goat finally has the rotary back in its spot. But what now? The Plymouth asks the yard goat if she would like a hand. The yard goat says, "Be my guest." Well, that was easy enough. The Nacionales de Mexico diesel locomotive departs with the train heading south of the border. Almost pulled a J50.